negative thoughts and what are the positive.
We have got two people who are saying, the one Brico saying I'm practically doing it, and I want Girish to confirm that he is not just giving theory but practical. Then I want to know how many more of you are able to do it, and how many of you are not able to do it, and then we will conclude how to do it a little bit more organized manner. We already have the answer. I just like to kind of tighten the nuts and bolts in the subject. But Girish, what do you think? Is it theory or practical, Girish?
Recently, I have observed in many occasions I am able to do it, even though not all the time.
Good. When is the time you are able to do it, and when is the time you are not able to do it? Girish?
That exactly, I am not able to tell it.
No, I'm not telling like that. I'm saying I'm not trying to pinpoint. Generally, what are those situations where you are able to, when is it happening that you're not able to still the mind? Or when is it you're able to still the mind? You said a lot of good things, a lot of wisdom. So you think it's, or are you saying it's more theory and very little practical?
No, it is 50-50 up to now.
Good. Brico, what is it, Brico? How much percentage Brico is it theory and how much is it practical?
Yeah, it is difficult, like Girish said, when the situation is all of a sudden and too much hectic. At that time, it is difficult to control, but after some time, I can get into that mode of stilling the mind
and like yourself are saying, even though we are able to still the mind, then the mind takes over and the shaitan takes over. When the shaitan comes, we are helpless. We are helpless. We don't want it. We don't want the devil to take over. But the shaitan mind, the mind comes, and when the mind is in an aggressive mode, my dear friends, Girish, Brico, and the rest, at that point, can you become an observer of the mind? When the mind is like a snake, it's like a dinosaur, it's like a dragon. When it's lashing at you, when it's hissing at you, at that point, can you become a witness and the observer, and can you control the mind?
We can try to observe the mind by saying that everything is Leela because of Maya.
Girish, will the mind allow you to do it in a time when it is aggressive?
Sometimes it will allow.
No, Girish. No, Girish. It will. It is like saying, I will put a dam when the water is not flowing. You can put a dam and control the water. But when you say when there's a flood, in the flood, can you build the dam? Because at that time, Girish,
when thoughts are running and becoming mind, we can ask where I am heading. Is it my goal? What I am trying to achieve? Stop it, stupid.
Okay, good. That is the way to do it. But okay, who wants to speak?
Abhinav.
Bolo Abhinav. And then Chidanand has already put his hand up. So for Chidanand and then Rekha. But tell me, Abhinav, quickly, what you want to say.
Guruji, during rough times, the mind becomes uncontrollable.
Correct. You're absolutely right.
So by a steady practice, we can, to some extent, we can control it.
Kya bola aapne?
By a steady practice, we can control it.
That steady practice cannot be when the mind is a shaitan. When the mind is in its mode of 50 thoughts per minute, when the mind is like a snake hissing at you with fear and worry and stress and anxiety and depression and negativity and anger and hate and revenge and jealousy, at that time, to control the mind, to observe the mind, to tell the mind, hello mind, I leave you behind. You are not a mind, you are nobody, you are it will not let you. It will kill you.
So we can detach those thoughts from that particular point in time.
So that is what I'm asking you. How can I become? Today's question exactly is that. How can I become observer of my mind?
We have to distance ourselves from the mind, our thoughts. Then only we can.
Yeah, but
then
not
only
when
we
the
can
mind
be
is
the
attacking.
observer.
Like
I
Abhinav
am
said,
not the mind, I am not the ego, I am not the body. So I create a distance and then watch it, become an observer of the thoughts.
so Girish, I really don't know whether by doing that it will happen or with the realization that I'm not the mind. Not by telling I'm not the mind, I'm not the body, I'm not the ego. But when we are in that realization, then when the mind tries to hit at you, it is like a plastic snake. The snake is no more a real snake because you say, what? Kya tum sala plastic snake hai? You are coming to attack me, Mr. Plastic Snake. You reach that state of being. But let us listen to Chidanand. Chidanand.
Shivam, Guruji.
Shivam, sir.
Without practice, this cannot be done. Because
Correct.
even in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, this practice of meditation is very much important, whatever you may call it, but control of the mind is a practice.
Correct.
Now, for that, if you understand what is this neuroscience, and this is very clear, it is everything to do with electrical impulse. When your senses and your mind comes together, the electrical impulse gets created. And that electrical impulse itself is a thought. Now that is also related to your chitta, where the memories of your past experiences are there in the form of qualia. So electrical
No, that's
impulses are
okay.
only electrical impulses. So now unless you
Yeah,
do this meditation, still your mind, and then you are able to convert your negative electrical impulses into positive.
So what
And
is your answer? Chidanand, how
it,
can I become the observer of my mind?
first by practice. We have to
Okay,
have
so
a practice.
I'm nailing the answer on each one of you. Chidanand said by practice, Bliko and Girish. What is the, give me one answer. How can I become observer of the mind? Girish and Bliko.
So without practice, it is only self-hypnosis.
No, you are Chidanand, your answer is acceptable.
Meditation.
Watching the thoughts as ruh.
Okay, so Girish says, I can do it by watching the thoughts as the soul. Abhinav says by meditation. Am I right, Abhinav? You said by meditation.
Right.
And Bliko?
By detachment from the thought and mind.
From detachment. See, so I'm trying, like I told you, every session must be productive. If the session is not productive, I am wasting your time and my time. Today I'm in Singapore. I'm in Singapore, but I'm with you. Why I'm with you? Because although my physical body is in Singapore, my spirit is with you. I'm with all of you, wherever in the world I am. So let us quickly go. Chidanand is finished. We have got Rekha, Rohit, and Rajesh. First Rekha, Rohit, and Rajesh. Yes, Rekha.
Shivam, AiR. It is
Shivam.
to still the mind, watch it, catch it, and latch it.
Yeah.
But as you said, when there is a storm in a devil, then what do we do?
So you tell the answer. How can I become observer of my mind?
Mine is that watch it, catch it, and latch it, and then cremate the mind.
Watch it, catch it, latch it, cremate it. Okay,
Yes.
Rohit. Thank you, Rekha. Rohit.
Thank you.
Rohit. Rajesh.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Bolo.
Shivam Guruji. So, yeah, so so the same thing which Chidanand also said. I mean, we have to practice it regularly, like half an hour, 1 hour. So, like Jay Krishnamurti said, there is the choiceless observation. So, like everything is happening. You should see everything is happening, and when you start seeing everything is happening, then that doership drops, and
So the answer,
the observer becomes. Yeah, we have to practice. Yes, and the observer becomes the observed.
Rohit, one thing I'll tell you, Rohit, with all due respect.
Yeah.
Don't try to mug up scripture, because you will be able to give lecture after lecture, but you will not realize what you are saying, and you have to absorb it. It's very easy to say the observer became the observed. It's very easy to make such statements. But I want you all to be able When you realize it, you don't have to memorize it. You don't have to analyze it.
Yeah.
So,
So
let me, I
I
have
would
got
say
one
the
more.
same thing. Yeah, practice. It only comes after
Okay.
practicing. Yeah. So
Okay.
every
So
day, if
we
you
will go.
regularly practice, then it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We will go to Rajesh and I will give you one clue after Rajesh. Rajesh.
I would love to add clue first. Okay, it is I think abhyasa and vairagya, the two
Very good.
methods on which
Very,
the mind can this attach
very,
detachment.
very good. Abhyasa and Vairagya. I like Rajesh's this Sanskrit and Hindi. So, my dear friends, now when I was just walking in Singapore today and having something very good called kaya toast. I don't know if you have tried kaya toast and tea tarik. This is very good in Singapore. If you come, you must have. I was having kaya toast and tea tarik, and the topic came in front of me. How can I become an observer of my mind? And Sip told me, how can you become the observer of this restaurant? I was sitting in a restaurant and having kaya toast and tea tarik. And how can I become an observer of this restaurant? I want to take a photograph of the restaurant. How can I become an observer of the restaurant and take a photograph? And the answer is I have to go out of the restaurant. How can I take the photograph of the restaurant or become an observer of the restaurant when I'm sitting in the restaurant? Can I do it? So I have to go out. So my dear friends, if you want to become an observer of the mind, what do you have to do? Vivek.
मुझे कहते हैं अगर ये किसी जिद्दी थॉट के लिए
नहीं, जोर से आप बहुत जोर से बोले, cannot hear anything, Vivek.
मैं कह रहा हूँ जी, अगर ये किसी जिद्दी थॉट के लिए है तो उसके लिए तो या तो हम बस सरेंडर कर सकते हैं या हम अपने गुरु की मदद ले सकते हैं.
विवेक, हर थॉट जिद्दी है.
हाँ
अगर
जी.
वो जिद्दी नहीं है, वो थॉट नहीं है.
हाँ. कई
So,
ऐसे होते हैं जो कंट्रोल हो जाते हैं.
सरेंडर करने से, by surrendering you cannot become an observer of the thought. Gautam.
It's Shivam here.
Shivam.
In one word, I can tell: be in consciousness.
That is the right answer. That is the right answer. If you want to be an observer of the mind, the only way to be an observer of the mind is to be in consciousness. Because in consciousness, Girish, there is no mind. In consciousness, there is no thought. Because in consciousness, you can still the mind and kill the mind. It is the word, one key word, my dear friends, to be in consciousness. So Gautam may come and just say it in one word. I don't know how much Gautam understands what he said, the answer, but the answer is right. Gautam, kaise bataya apne answer, Gautam? Kaise malum pada? We are going to go on to Rajesh and Chidanand, elaborate further. But remember this just quickly. What I gave the clue to you. The only way to observe the mind is to move out of the mind. And to move out of the mind, you go into consciousness. And you're in consciousness, you can observe the mind. You can watch it, you can catch it, you can latch it, you can kill it, you can cremate it. But if you are in a state of mind, if you are attacked by that mind all the time, you may be even in meditation. You may even be practicing. But is that a guarantee that if you're in meditation and you're practicing, the moment you are in meditation, tell me, my dear friends, how many of you agree that when we are in meditation, the mind comes and attacks us? It attacks our meditation. You may be still, suddenly from nowhere, one thought comes, one memory comes, one notice has come from income tax, one thing comes, some of my best friend was put in jail. Thought, just a thought. And the mind doesn't let you meditate. It kills you, doesn't let you practice. Dasi says meditation only calms the mind temporarily, but one can calm the mind only at the time to be in. Thank you, Dasi. Dasi says you can calm the mind through meditation, but it is through consciousness. It is only through consciousness that you can reach that state. So, my dear friends, I want Rajesh and Chidanand to add to whatever we are saying. Rajesh and Chidanand.
I was also telling to be in consciousness, that is observing the mind from the Sakshi Bhava.
Okay, I am not very good in translating and interpreting Sanskrit. So I get very scared, except some limited terminology When Chidanand comes, I fold my hands and I tell Chidanand, sometimes I will fail in interpreting the Sanskrit. So when you say Sakshi Baba, explain, Rajesh.
Sakshi means observing things as they are, not
So
things.
just say, because what happens, many people will not get the right interpretation. Okay. So therefore, what is the Sakshi Bhava? What is the bhava? What is the state of being observer? That state of being observer is consciousness, not meditation, not practice. These are good tools. These are very good tools to help. What Dasi just said, meditation is good, practice is good, all this is good. But what is the only way to observe the mind? There is only one way, only one. When you make the mind your slave, when you tie the wings of the mind with strings and you make the shaitan into a Bhagwan, you stop the mind from being a monkey. You cut the tail of the mind and make it into a monk. When the mind becomes a monk, it's not ever yelling, it's not ever yearning. It is still, because you are in a state of consciousness. The moment you're not in state of consciousness, my dear friends, how much ever I may try to help you, how much ever I may try to help myself, I'm telling you, one of my biggest goals to live as a yogi is Satchitanand. One of my biggest goals as a yogi is to be in the state of consciousness. Chidanand and then Bliko. Yes, Chidanand.
Guruji, the word meditation, I would like to say, okay, in English, it has got a multiple meanings of concentration and all that. But in Ashtanga Yoga, meditation has got 4 elements: Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Dhyan is meditation. But when I say meditation, in the ultimate state, how will you be the observer? See, saying that you should be the observer is fine, but how can you be the observer? That is only when you concentration will automatically lead to a state of observer. That means then you live like a yogi. See, to live in a permanent state of a yogi is like a samahita buddhi at all times. Whether you are in karma yoga, dhyana yoga.
You gave 4 words. You said pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi.
Correct.
I am putting the 4 words to you, which you gave just now.
Yes.
In which of these 4 words are you really an observer of the mind?
At samadhi.
So let us be
not before
clear.
that. Before that.
So,
but English word meditation actually stops at dhyana. You ask anybody,
exactly.
Dhyana means meditation. So that is not samadhi. In meditation, you are never in consciousness.
So what is samadhi then? What is samadhi?
You become one with the step. That is
How
yoga.
do you become one? What happens in samadhi state?
You lose the duality.
That means you are in consciousness.
You are fully in consciousness. Exactly.
Or so, you can, what are the words? Chidanand, we can use the word consciousness.
Yes.
We can
or
use
yoga.
the word samadhi.
Or yoga.
You can use the word chaturiyam.
Yeah, turiya. That is a state. Yes, yes.
So let us be clear. When you are in turiyam, for example, when you are in turiyam, which is a short form of chaturiyam, which means in the 4th state of consciousness, you know you are not the waker, the dreamer, and the sleeper.
Yes, that is Sakshi Bhava. Yeah,
you are the observer.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I avoid this.
Yeah. That words were actually.
See what happens, Chidanand and Rajesh. The group here will get confused. Today, when you say Sakshi, and tomorrow a similar Sanskrit word will come. We are not teaching Sanskrit in this session. I totally agree. Their Sanskrit terms are very useful. For example, without neti tattvamasi, I can't explain anything. So I need to explain certain things, but I'm only using the absolutely essential terms. Others I'm trying not to use, just for your explanation, right? So Chidanand brought a right form. Chidanand's answer is, if you want to be an observer, be in samadhi. Be in that state of chaturya. He brought another word by his revealing samadhi. He has brought, which means I am not this. Neti tattvamasi. Koham, soham, shivoham. All these mean one and the same. So now we have got Bliko and then arrow. Bliko and arrow. Yes, please.
So the consciousness is the only thing available 24/7 to us. We have access to consciousness. But the problem is it is clouded by the mind, with the thoughts, right?
Correct.
So,
So how
when
do you
you
explain
want
it?
to become observer, consciousness is always available.
Correct. Consciousness is an empty glass.
Empty
And
glass,
it's
yes.
continuously being filled with junk.
Yes.
And then therefore the glass disappears, because the consciousness, which is a still lake, the still lake is, pebbles are thrown in the lake and ripples come, and the ripples steal the stillness of the lake.
Yeah, similarly, like if we take an example of sun as a consciousness and the clouds as a thought, the same
Absolutely.
thing, right? It always comes and disturbs the, it looks like disturbing, but actually it is not disturbing.
No, wait, hold on. Bliko, what happens is, we want to be in that state of consciousness.
Consciousness, correct.
Because in that state of consciousness, you are liberated from suffering. In that state of consciousness, you are enlightened with the truth. In that state of consciousness, Satya Chitta Anand, when you are conscious of Satya, you experience Anand, eternal happiness, divine love, everlasting peace. For example, if you are in consciousness, love becomes divine.
Yes.
When you are in consciousness, when you are in thought, love becomes ishq, lust becomes lust.
Similarly, like mind comes and makes us, moves us from Sat Chit Anand to Man Mithya Dukh.
Exactly. That's why today's question, Bliko, how can I become an observer of the mind? When I say an observer of the mind, means when the moment I observe the mind, what happens, Bliko?
You discard that things.
When I
become
observe the mind,
conscious.
what happens, Bliko?
You are in consciousness, so you
what
can
happens to the mind, Bliko? The moment I observe the mind dissolves.
Dissolves, yeah.
The mind disappears. Why does the mind dissolve, Bliko? Because the moment I observe the mind in samadhi, in chaturyam, in consciousness, there is thoughtlessness, there are no thoughts, there is no mind. Girish, confirm with me if I'm right or wrong after Eru. Yes, Eru.
I understood what you're telling. Mr. Chidanand also, he told that in consciousness, we have to be samadhi state. And Gautam also. So when we are already in the state of samadhi or in consciousness, then definitely there is no mind. We are talking about how to flip from mind to consciousness when there is storm, there is like bombardment of thoughts, then how to flip from mind to consciousness. I want to know that.
Okay, so first of all, I'll touch your first point, which is very important for everybody. When you are in a state of consciousness, you triggered another question, then there's no mind. Then where does the mind come from? When you're in a state of consciousness, that means there should be no mind. You still the mind, you kill the mind should not be there. But Eru, does it happen or the mind returns?
Mind returns, but when we are caught by the mind, then how to go back to consciousness?
No, I'm giving that to you. But why does the mind return, first of all?
Because consciousness, we are not properly in consciousness, maybe.
Why?
Because we serve tea to our thoughts. We make them sit. We welcome them.
Anybody can give a quick answer? Why do we lose consciousness? Anybody? The answer is very important. Why do we lose consciousness? Huh?
Ignorance.
No. Ignorance we left behind long back. Why do we lose consciousness? Yes, Chidanand,
we lose consciousness because that's a part of our life. Because prarabdha will automatically trigger you into the samsara.
How do you?
Because we become the slave of our mind. We allow the.
How do you? Okay, let me change my question. How do you lock yourself in consciousness? How do you lock yourself in consciousness?
Shivam Guruji. So by doing neti neti, yeah.
Neti neti.
You can't.
Neti neti.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do neti neti.
With living in yoga, sir. Yoga.
Mind is.
Who's saying that yoga? Who said yoga?
Atmatre.
Atmatre gave the answer. The only way to be locked in consciousness is to be a yogi. The moment you're a yogi, you lock yourself in consciousness. You're locked.
Sir,
The
but
moment you become a bhogi,
you are out of consciousness.
Okay. So now, Arun's second
No,
question.
that is a small point which I would like to address.
One
Arun.
second,
This is what yogi does.
So yogi means vairagya, are you saying?
No. Yogi is one who's always in yoga. One who's always in dhyana yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. But I don't want to lose the first part of the main part of our question. What is your question, you said? How do you flip over from mind to consciousness?
Yes.
Correct? Now here it is. So this comes from exactly what everybody says. You start by stillness. So you have an agitated mind. Suppose you have an agitated mind. The mind is a shaitan. What do you do? First, what do you do? First of all, you withdraw. Exactly Chidanand gave the answers. And Chidanand's, sorry to use the word, Chidanand's Bap gave the bigger answer. Chidanand's Bap, I mean to say, Patanjali.
Everybody's Bap.
He said, you need yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. 4 preliminary steps. Then pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. You try to still the senses of your body. Suppose you want to be from mind to consciousness, be still. Close the eyes, close the ears, close the senses. The mind will still be agitated. The mind will still, but the mind, what happens, Eru, when you're driving a car and you're driving at 100 speed? You're driving at 100 speed and now suddenly you leave the accelerator. Will the car stop immediately? No. It will keep on going 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20 until you put the brake. If you put the brake completely, the car will stop. You reach that. You have to take the analogy. I've told this analogy. First time I'm giving a new analogy to you. The new analogy of taking a car from 100 kilometers an hour to 0. From 50 thoughts a minute to 1 thought. Now, when you try to still the mind, you engage in that 1 thought. You try to observe the mind by going into that state of thoughtlessness. If you have 10 thoughts hitting you, 20 thoughts hitting you, you cannot get into consciousness at all. And you cannot get into consciousness if your eyes, as you're talking to me, if your eyes are looking at your TV, your eyes are looking at your book, your eyes are looking at somebody else. Can you still your mind? You cannot still your mind. So if you want to flip from mind to consciousness, I hope in our new book we are covering all the points. You still the body, you still the mind. Then you reach the state of consciousness. When you reach the state of consciousness, then you watch it, you catch it, you latch it, you still it, you kill it. And you go into a state of yoga. When you go into a state of yoga, you lock into consciousness. So today, very many new things we are talking of. And question me and challenge me, because this don't come from me. I am not telling you anything. It's all coming from Ship. I am just a lip. I am just a lip. One who is talking is Ship. So if it is not correct, please challenge me and please question me. Aru, did you get the answer? Or we are far from the answer, Aru?
I agree. I understood.
So you slow down the car like this, and you come to 0 level. Okay, I'm asking you one more question. When you're 100, you can off the engine, but you can't stop the entire mechanism. Or let me tell you let me give a reverse analogy. When the car is sometimes speeding very fast, at that time you can't start the engine because there'll be a reverse energy. So I'm just saying we'll take this analogy a little bit more deeper. But for now, you take the speeding car and bring it down, bring down the thought and lock the mind. Shidanand, thank you, Eru.
I just wanted to say the process which you explained is actually samyama. The practice of samyama automatically, whenever this negative impulse comes,
what is samyama? You have to explain samyama now.
Yeah, samyama is actually a process of pratyahara, dhyana, and samadhi. Because once you do that again and again and again, then instinctively it is available to you. When the mind hits,
I would like to
it's
explain
available
what
to you.
I would like to explain what Chidanand is saying, what Patanjali said. So let me quickly tell you what is the meaning of this. See, the problem is good things like Patanjali said get lost because it's not explained well. What is pratyahara? Pratyahara is withdrawal from this world. Am I right, Chidanand? You withdraw. Then dharan. Dharana is concentrating on one thought. Then dhyana, you silence the mind and you get into the meditative, you contemplate on that one thought. And when you are withdrawing senses and withdrawing the mind, and when you're engaging in one particular thought, like you're looking at a candle with one flame, and there's one thought in your consciousness, in that state, you are elevated to a state of samadhi. But this we have to understand and experience. This cannot be theory. And this cannot be words. This cannot be, what did Adi Shankara said? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Muramatai. Oh, you fool. What will you get by giving so many bhashans of language and scripture? What will you get? You have so much knowledge of Sanskrit and English and scriptures and Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. What will you get by knowing Brahma Sutras and all these things? What is the use? Do you realize? You must realize. You must be in that state of stillness. You may give a full lecture, my dear friends, on how to be an observer of the mind. But if you can't observe the mind, then what is the use? Is it better to be able to give a 1 hour lecture on how to observe the mind? Or should you be able to observe the mind for 5 minutes? Because in that state of 5 minutes, people say, if you can still the mind for few moments, imagine somebody can still the mind for, say, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. That person is already enlightened. That person is already liberated. Because you can't. You can't. The moment you are in consciousness, the moment you are a yogi, still the mind comes. And the moment you become an observer of the mind, you still it, you kill it, you become a Jivan Mukta. You become a Sthit Pragya. You become somebody who has attained Nirvana. Over to you. We have 2-3 minutes to close. Anybody wants to ask closing questions before we close?
Yeah, Guruji, I want to say something.
Yes, sir.
So we can say that mind is always searching for fun. So can we analyze that thing, then in that way we can be in consciousness?
See, Abhinav, the fact is mind doesn't exist. It is a bundle of thoughts. These bundle of thoughts are created in us only because, Abhinav, pay attention. These thoughts are coming to us only because we are not in consciousness. And the thoughts are coming to us because we are not in consciousness only because we are not in yoga. Now take the reverse angle of it. And all of you, please pay attention. Now the reverse we are taking. If you are always in a state of yoga, you will always be in a state of consciousness. If you're always in a state of consciousness, you will be always in a state of thoughtlessness. If you're always in a state of thoughtlessness, you will always be in a state of no mind. And if you're always in the state of no mind, you become Sip, you become the Atma, you become the Ruh. Today we have done a reverse. You have clear. Abhinav made me come back in reverse.
So we
So,
can
Abhinav,
say that we
got the
can
point.
have mastery over consciousness in this way.
You have to be in, when you are in consciousness, you have mastery over thought. You don't have to have mastery over consciousness. You are consciousness. You are consciousness, but your consciousness has been stolen by thoughts because you have no mastery over thoughts. You don't need mastery over consciousness. You need mastery over thoughts, which will make you reach that state of consciousness. You need to lock yourself in that consciousness through yoga. through Dhyana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Prema Yoga. You love the divine, you love SIP. You work, you surrender all actions to SIP, knowing मैं क्या हूँ कुछ भी नहीं, सब कुछ तुम ही हो प्रभु, तुम बिन मैं क्या कुछ भी ना. You reach that state. You reach that state. Some of you said in surrender. You reach that state in complete surrender. But my dear friends, today we have reached an amazing point. Amazing point. How to be able to still the mind. And thank you, Girish Bliko, who started off, and then Atmatrai, who brought out that, and Gautam. Amazing. So today I'm ending with what Abhinav brought about, my dear friends. Our challenge is not mastery over consciousness. Our challenge is to be in consciousness with mastery over thought. Lock yourself in consciousness by being a yogi. योगी जो योग में सदा ही रहे, प्रभु के योग में रहे. Be in that state of yoga. Lock yourself in consciousness. Overcome all thought and be in that state of Sat Chit Anand. Enjoy eternal bliss, divine love, and everlasting peace. With folded hands, I bow down.